Nintendo now has the power to remotely break your console. And yes, it's real. If they think your Switch 2 has been modified in any way, no trial, no warning, just gone. Let's play the and/or game. Let's say you've had a few, maybe even 4 or 5, long days at work and/or school. Your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, has been busy. You've taken your kids, if you have any, to school, and/or you've picked them up. In any case, you haven't had a lot of time for games. You finally have time to sit down, turn on the console, open the game, and then this happens. So we're on the 11th hour with reporting on the changes that Nintendo has made to the terms of service, so you more than likely heard about it. But would it surprise you if I told you that we've been down this road before, but with another console manufacturer? As IGN reports, a section of their terms of service has been updated or lengthened in the United States. And it reads, without limitation, you agree that you not publish, copy, modify, reverse engineer, lease, rent, decompile. And it goes through the whole spiel, right? At the very end it says, you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account services and/or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. When I say terms of service, I mean the user agreement, okay? In any case, it's some legal verbiage in the background that will allow Nintendo to break your console. Also, at the beginning of the video, I said they could break or turn off your Switch 2. This also applies to the Switch. So all existing customers, this applies to. So I mentioned before that another console manufacturer has done this before. Well, back in 2006, Microsoft released the 2006 fall update on the Xbox 360. Yeah, we're going back a little bit. This article was written back in 2006 from GameSpot, and it reads, when Microsoft released the fall update for the Xbox 360 on October 31st, reports that it was breaking some systems, rendering them unable to play games or even boot up properly, sound familiar, quickly flared up online. Microsoft issued a statement, and they acknowledged the problems, and they say that it affected less than 1% of Xbox 360 owners who installed the update on their consoles. So 1%, you might be saying, well, that's not many, right? Well, more on that in a minute. I was one of those 1%ers. And no, I didn't have kids at the time. I almost said I didn't have a job. I did have a job. I was in school. I was busy. I came home someday in 2006, turned on my Xbox 360, ready to play some Oblivion, right? Ready to play some Phantasy Star Universe. Yeah, I was one of those. I couldn't play anything. My system was rendered unusable. I was so confused. I went online, did some research, found an article like this, and it stated that Microsoft issued some sort of bricking thing that would affect modified consoles. I was, and am still not, a pirate. I don't modify my consoles. I didn't touch it. So I was pissed. I was a busy kid. Young adult then. I come home wanting to play a game, and tough luck. You're just part of the 1% that, were affected with, if you had an unmodified console, just like 1% were affected, stuff like that. No big deal, right? Again, I'm going to get to that in a second. Imagine you come home, modern day, with your Switch. You turn it on. You can't play any games. And you are a legit, full price paying customer. That's the issue that we're seeing right now. That's what we could be seeing. There's no reports of this happening yet, but as far as we know, this has already taken effect. So if we do a quick search, Xbox 360 sales in 2006. In the 2006 fiscal year, Xbox 360 sold about 5 million units. So if we go over here to the percentage calculator, what's 1% of 5 million? Well, that's 50,000. So let's just say a little bit less than that were affected, right? So let's say about 40,000. That's still 40,000 customers who had legit games on their Xbox 360s. No pirating, no modified software, nothing. They open their console like I did back in the day, and all of a sudden, you're greeted with an error. It happened to me, it happened to others, so much so that there was a lawsuit. As reported by Ars Technica, again back in 2006, a lawsuit, Xbox 360 update bricking consoles. Microsoft is the target of a new class action lawsuit over its fall update for the Xbox 360, an update that caused problems on a small minority of systems. I remember reading stuff like this back in the day, and I kept seeing that kind of comment from media outlets. A small minority, 40,000, 50,000 people, to me is not a small minority. Anyway, by problems, of course, we mean total system malfunction. According to a copy of the complaint seen by Ars Technica, the original complainant was a happy Xbox 360 player until November 1st of that year, at which point he updated his console with a fall 2006 update. After installation, his system was unusable and Microsoft allegedly refused to repair it. That's where details get a little murky, because right here it says Microsoft pointed out that the plaintiff's Xbox 360 was still within its 90-day warranty period. Anyway, details aside, Microsoft says every Xbox 360 was sold within the 90-day period up to that point. So the lawsuit didn't go anywhere, in other words. So Nintendo's in the clear, right? Let's say Nintendo issues something similar. Let's say this wasn't just some modifications of the terms of the user agreement. Let's say that they've implemented something in an update that lets them brick consoles. Who's to say that's not already happened? That's just less than 1% of their user base, right? That's not that many. Well, if we see how many units they've sold, how many original Switch consoles that they've sold, 152 million. That is enormous. So you can imagine 1% of 152 million is also a lot. That's 1,520,000. Okay? I think they would get more pushback than what Ars Technica said or something similar. You know, it's not just a small minority of the user base at that point. Nintendo has even said that over 128 million of their Switch units are active. So if they have over 1,500,000 customers with unmodified consoles suddenly totally cut off, that's going to hit their sales. They're going to get complaints up the wazoo. I'm sure way more than Microsoft had back in 2006. And again, the whole reason I compare all this to the fall update of the Xbox 360 is because it sounds so similar. And again, this happened to me. So I remember being pretty pissed off. I didn't want to really take my 360 back. I lost my save files for Phantasy Star Universe. I lost my save files for Oblivion. I had a game file that was over 100 hours long. And, you know, this channel, Frorefront, it's meant for people who are very busy. Like I kind of, and like you, I stay in the zeitgeist of video games. I listen to tons of podcasts. Listen to release dates. I listen to a lot. I don't even have that much time to read articles anymore. So if you're like me and don't have that much time for games, like, yeah, you make time, right? You're happy. You make time with your family and everything. And then when you do have those long evenings, which are just more rare, gaming is a big part of your life. So if you come home and, you turn on your Switch and you can't play any games, that's what this is all about. Should console manufacturers have the ability to break your console because they think your console is modified? Well, I think they have the right to defend what they've created, right? Dozens, thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours have been poured into these consoles and these games. Yeah, you want to protect your property. I'm not saying that's not right. What I'm saying is not right is the big margin of error that can happen. We don't want to come online just to see that we can't play a system that we bought. This is going to go on to the Switch too. Let's say that the Switch, it's too set in stone with its programming and everything, and maybe they can't just brick a Switch. But what about the Switch 2? Let's say the Switch 2 sells in the millions. We know it's going to sell in the millions. But how long is it until we start getting reports that, wait, I'm not a pirate. How come I can't play my Switch 2?
I know you do. It's going to be a sad day. I don't want to talk about it because I'll start crying. Shut up. I love you. Goodbye.
And I just want to go back to the reference I made earlier in the video. No matter what walk of life you have, you come home, you turn on your game system, the last thing you want to see is this.
This is a bad video, just the heads up.
Give a thumbs down.
Yeah, this is the worst video ever.
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Subscribe right now. So that's the worst video in your life.
Yes.